Hello and welcome to my workshop. My name is Chris Pine. Recently, a group of woodworkers got together and they all made bookends and they released their videos on YouTube all on the same day. I'm way too late to get in on that group. However, I've had this idea for a set of bookends for some time and I just have not made them. I think I'm going to do that today. I'm going to use this beautiful piece of cherry and a couple of these. What are these? You're just going to have to stay tuned and find out. Let's get started today on the Chris Pine Workshop. Okay, I have my 4 pieces here, and this is roughly the idea, right like this. And what I want to do is cut some dovetails here. So I want to cut my tails first, always cut tails first. And the way I'm going to do that is with my through dovetail jig. It's called a Keller jig. I love my Keller jig. It is just the simplicity of how you do it is what I like about it. And you use a dovetailing bit for the tails and a straight bit with the bearing on top for the pins. So let's get that set up. Okay, I've got this clamped to the side of my bench, and very simply what you do with the jig is you line this up, and this is the jig here for the tails, and you just kind of center these on the board, how you're going to want this. The object is just to get the best arrangement you have for cutting out the dovetails. The idea in the setup here is to use your piece of wood, mark a line. This is the pin, the part that's going to have the pins on it eventually. Now you have a thickness, and you could use a marking gauge for this, and that's how they traditionally did it with hand tools. Anyway, then you set your depth of your bit based on that. You set the depth of your bit based on that mark. So I want to go just a hair past that line so that I know that I got a good joint. And that's good for our depth. So I'm going to lock that down and we'll get started. Okay, there's the machined cut dovetails, and I will show you how we lay that out on the other board to cut the pins next. Okay, now I've mounted the other side, the other piece of wood on my bench, and the idea is you take your one that you've already cut and you line it up here, even out the sides, line it up with the bottom of the dovetail hole. Then you take a pencil and mark each one so that I have the marks like that. Very simply, take my jig, place it up here, and as you can see, line these pieces over in between the lines of what you drew from your other piece. You'll clamp that down and cut out these parts, which will become the pins. Okay, now that we have that done, I want to draw, which I already have done here on this place, to round over the top of the end of the bookend. And I just use my special item here as the curve. I use this curve. Okay, I've got these started, and honestly, this kind of a joint does not require a lot of glue. So I'm going to put some glue on each of these and in between here with just a toothpick, and we're going to push this together. Okay, what I want to do now is glue a piece, just a piece of wood. Notice the grain is going the same direction, so it'll expand and contract with each other. And go about like this in order to fit this piece of this so that it'll sit there like that. And so I can just put it over the top of that and it'll sit on there. The bookends are done, and they look great. I think this is going to work out really well. These pieces are very heavy, and they do a really good job at holding the bookends down. I went ahead and cut a couple pieces of felt that won't show when the piece is sitting on here. And I wanted to have a way to use this as a display piece, a conversation piece, as well as serving its purpose for the bookend. I think it worked out well, and I think this is going to find a really good place in my home. Okay, what are these things that I made onto my bookends? Well, to be ultimately for sure, absolutely correct, I don't know what they are for sure. I found these when I was up hiking one day, a mountain we call Mount Morrison here. It's above Red Rocks Amphitheater, which if you aren't familiar with Red Rocks Amphitheater, U2 made an album there 25 years ago that was very popular. Anyway, there's a mountain right behind the theater there. And in hiking up this, in the early 1900s, there was a cable incline railway there. And you can hike along this railway. It's very interesting. There's the old rails. Some of those are still there. There's lots of rusty metal that was obviously part of that railway. And that's what these were, is my hunch. And the best I can figure, if you look inside this hole, there are recesses on each side of the triangle here, or I mean the rectangle here. There's a hollow point here and a hollow point here. So my theory is, my most educated opinion, is there was another component that looks something like this that went inside of here, and when this was turned, it locked in to this cap or this nut, if you want to get technical. It was kind of like maybe a, what would that be, a 45-degree nut, if you want to call it that. And look at that. There's used to be paint on it. It's all rusty. I just like this kind of stuff. So I grabbed these two. I hope I'm not going to get sued by this city or anything, but I grabbed these off the ground. They were just laying up there probably for 75 years, rusting away. I thought they had incredible character and make a great piece to put on a shelf. Well, what else goes on a shelf except bookends? Thanks for watching. If you're not a subscriber, I'd invite you to subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much. I enjoy making the videos, and I love your comments. So please give me comments, questions, whatever you have. Until next time, God bless, and we'll see you. Had to throw in this Crazy English by Richard Lederer. Very funny book. If you ever get a chance, you should check that out. Talks about the misuse of the English language. Pretty funny.